Hey guys, it's Jeff from Pressure Luck, and today I want to share a recipe with you that is so wildly easy, and it also is very pleasing because we're marrying not one, but two classic Chinese American style soups. That would be a wonton soup and an egg drop soup. Now, I was introduced to wonton and egg drop soup by my father, and we would always bring it in on Sunday nights usually, or we go out for Chinese. And he typically along the way in life, I think he just decided I want the best of both worlds, so he would get a wonton egg drop mix, right? So in my new book, Super Shortcut Instant Pot, the green one, I show you how to make this soup right here. It's so cute. I love how the word egg drop looks like it's in an egg. It's super cute. Every photo, by the way, in this book has beautiful color step-by-step photos, as well as a final shot of each one and a timing bar. This has less than 10 ingredients to make, and some of them are as simple as like the most basic spices you'll have in your cupboard, which count for some of those ingredients. So we're gonna go right to the Instant Pot, or you can even do this on your stovetop, and I'll explain how to do that as well, but we're gonna focus on the Instant Pot and make the most amazing wonton egg drop mix soup, or wonton egg drop soup, or egg drop wonton soup, whatever you wanna do it, whatever came first, the egg or the wonton, who knows? Let's do it. Now, let me just start off by saying and being very clear that you do not have to make this in an Instant Pot. You can 100% do it on the stove, but I'm just going to show you how to do it in the Instant Pot, and I'll explain how you could do it on the stove. Regardless if you're using your Instant Pot or a pot on the stove, take 6 cups of broth, any broth of your choice. In this case, I'm using chicken broth, but if you're a vegetarian, you can use vegetarian broth or garlic broth, whatever you want, along with 1.5 teaspoons each of ground ginger. It's like a ginger powder. You can find that in the spice section of your market. Seasoned salt, I use Lowry's. It's like a red container. It is my favorite. So 1.5 teaspoons of those, and 1 teaspoon of ground or granulated or garlic powder, any of those things. And lastly, 1.5 teaspoons of sesame oil. It can be toasted, it doesn't have to be toasted, just any kind of sesame oil, 1.5 teaspoons. And just give all that a stir, and optionally, if you wanted to do this, because I've seen it done many times and I've enjoyed it myself, some people like some sweet corn in their egg drop soup. In that circumstance, you can add up to about 10 ounces or so, give or take, of just some frozen corn kernels and put them in here, the kind you'd find in the frozen section of the market. Put them in right now as well if you're going to add that in there. And now all I want to do is secure my lid, make sure that I'm in the sealing position. Now yes, you can 100% do this in your stovetop as well, but the pressure cooking situation helps infuse more flavor into the broth. That's what I'm telling myself anyway, because there's really nowhere for the steam to go when it's cooking. It's really getting all of the spices from the seasoned salt, the garlic powder, and the ground ginger, as well as that sesame oil a little bit, infused into the broth. But you can 100% do this on the stovetop. Just, you know, bring it to like a boil, and then bring it to a nice strong simmer, like on a medium high there, and let it go for about 5 to 10 minutes covered. So there's your 2 ways of doing this. Okay, we're gonna come down to our control panel and then just simply hit the pressure cook or manual button depending on your model. And I wanna go for 3 minutes at high pressure, as simple as that. If your model has a start button, hit that. And if it doesn't have a start button, after a few moments of doing nothing and selecting the function, it will go into that mode. So now while the soup is pressure cooking and infusing its flavors into each other, I want to take my egg portion here and prepare that. For that, I want to take 6 large eggs, but I want to take 3 of the eggs and I want to keep them completely whole, and then take the other 3 of those eggs and separate the yolks from the egg whites. So you see what I'm doing? I took 3 of the eggs and just cracked them in with their egg whites and the yolks whole into this bowl. And then separately here I have this very, very handy egg white separator where I put an egg inside of it. I kept the yolk separate from the egg white because I want to just keep my egg whites in this situation and not the yolks. Now if you want to save your yolks, that's fine. You can put them in like an airtight container, use them, you know, in the next day or so, and use it to make a cake or something. Or you can discard them or cook it right now. You don't have to let this go to waste. Do whatever you want with that yolk. So basically, in a nutshell, 3 whole eggs, and then from the other 3, just the egg whites is what I want. And I'm separating it out, and poof, there we go. Okay, and there's everything in one bowl here. I have my 3 whole large eggs, and then my 3 eggs with just their egg whites. I remove the yolks. The reason why I want it more egg whitey than yolky is because it's going to create those really, really nice fluffy ribbons inside of our soup when we add it at the very end. So now just take a whisk and just gently, you know, whisk it up. Nothing too crazy, just make sure it's nice and combined. Not quite to the point of whipping here where we're making scrambled eggs, but just kind of enough so everything is nice and blended with each other. That is perfect. All right, I'll set that aside for now. And the other thing I want to prepare while the soup is cooking is our cornstarch slurry. Typically, an egg drop soup has a nice, like, thick consistency to it. Not to the point where it's like gelatinous, but to the point where it's more than just like a thin liquid like a wonton soup, right? To achieve that, it's all about a cornstarch slurry. So what I'm taking here is equal parts cornstarch and equal parts water. Cold water usually is what I use, and I'm using 3 tablespoons of it, but you can use 2. If you're unsure of how thick you might want it, start with 2 or even 1 tablespoon of the cornstarch plus 1 tablespoon of water, equal parts no matter what. But I like mine on the slightly thicker side, so I'm adding 3 tablespoons of a cornstarch slurry here. And by 3 tablespoons, I mean 3 tablespoons of both the water and the cornstarch mixed together to form the slurry. Now, the slurry is critical because it's basically tempering the cornstarch into being this like nice paste now. It's like a liquidy paste. If I were to just dump a clump of cornstarch like that into the soup when it's done, it's gonna just like create this ball of like hard weirdness that where the cornstarch once was a powder. You have to like dissolve it first with the water, the equal parts, which is what we call a slurry. Never skip a slurry step because a slurry thickens in a hurry. And now that we're done pressure cooking, we'll perform a quick release. And the pin just dropped, so we're gonna take the lid off the pot, and it immediately smells sensational in here. So now I'm gonna come down and hit the cancel button, and then it brings me back to basically the home screen. It'll say off again. And then we wanna hit the saute button and make sure we're on the more or high setting. Again, hit that start button if your model has one, and if it doesn't, it'll start on its own after a few moments after selecting the function. Okay, so now what I wanna do is I wanna hit the cancel button, and then I wanna hit the saute button to make sure I'm on the more or high setting. And now to the pot, I wanna add in 1 bunch of scallions that I've sliced like this, or green onion, same thing, as well as a ½ teaspoon of turmeric, which is super good for you. It's like this anti-inflammatory, it's super good for you, and it's gonna give that egg drop soup that beautiful yellow color we all know and love. I also use that in wonton soup. And then we're gonna stir that around in the pot. You see how the color becomes a little bit more yellow. I mean, the lighting is terrible, but what can you do? Trust me, it's more yellow now. All right, and after about a few minutes of the pot heating up a little bit, you're gonna see it's gonna kind of almost come to like a light bubbling situation. That's perfect. Now is the time to add in our wontons. Now you can make your own wontons if you want to check out my wonton soup recipe. I'll link it there, or it's also in my 3rd Yellow Simple Comforts cookbook. But to save time, if you want, feel free to use some frozen ones. And you can use any of your favorite frozen brands. Pretty much every market sells a variation of a wonton, or even a dumpling you can use that's frozen. I, on the other hand, am lucky enough to live near Flushing, Queens, which has the best, in my opinion, Chinese food in America. And this place I go to called White Bear, if you're ever in the area. It's this little place you can't even really go inside. You have to order from a window on the street. Has the most amazing wontons, and they sell them frozen. This would be normally the number 6 because they're like pork and chive, and they normally come with this spicy oil sauce. It's ridiculously delicious. Anyway, in this situation, I just have them frozen, and I'm gonna add them to my pot here. And you wanna add between, I'd say 1.5 to 2 pounds, but you can totally use less if you wanna just add like, I don't know, like 10 wontons, 8 wontons, that's fine too. It doesn't make a difference. Just don't really go more than 2 pounds. Now, regardless if we just made our own wontons fresh or we use frozen ones like I did, we just want to let this simmer in the pot now for 5 minutes, so set a timer for that. Okay, and after about 5 minutes of our wontons or dumplings boiling in our soup, I now want to take that cornstarch slurry. Again, I'm using 3 tablespoons of cornstarch and 3 tablespoons of water here, and I'm going to stir that in, and you're going to see the soup is going to magically come to the thickened consistency I want it to. I personally feel like 3 tablespoons is the right amount for this. However, if you want to go or just 2, that's fine. You could always start with less and add more to your liking. I'm going to let this simmer for about 1 more minute. Okay, and now I'm going to kill the heat. Our soup is perfectly thickened. And now we'll hit the cancel button again. And then we can just hit keep warm if we want to keep it on a warm setting, although it's not necessary. And as those bubbles are dying down in our pot, that's what we want. That is now our cue to take our eggs. Again, 3 regular large eggs, and then just the egg whites from 3 other eggs mixed together, lightly beaten. And now I want to take a large serving fork if you can. A regular dinner size fork is fine too, but try to get a large serving fork if you have one. Use a fork regardless. And then pour our eggs in, and then we're going to take our, look at this. Almost immediately, we're gonna get egg ribbons forming in the soup. And this is the egg drops. We're dropping the eggs right into the soup. Look at that. It's literally like magic. It's like science. And we have beautiful, gorgeous egg drop soup. Just swirl it with, the reason why the fork is so good is it creates the ribbons with the teeth on the fork. You see that? Beautiful. Oh my gosh, this is like seriously restaurant quality here. And if you wanted to add the corn, you'd have the corn in there. Beautiful. The eggs basically are gonna cook practically instantly. They are cooked when you look at them this color. They're good. Just give it about a minute to rest and then we're gonna serve it up. Wow. And there is my beautiful egg drop wonton soup. If you want to, you could add a few more scallions in there and top it off with any reserved ones. Maybe a few of those delicious, crunchy Chinese noodles we all love when we sit down at a Chinese restaurant to put in our soup. And then we have an absolutely beautiful wonton egg drop soup mix. Let's serve this up. And there it is, my friends. Wonton egg drop soup mixed. Giving it a shot. Oh my gosh. Okay, first off, it's the perfect consistency as far as I'm concerned. I like that thick consistency for an egg drop. And then the wontons, let's go. Oh man. Okay. So there are lots of times where I go to a Chinese restaurant and do some takeout and I get the egg drop soup and it has no flavor. It's just like, it looks like it'll be good, but it has no flavor. This is the opposite. It has such nice tones of the ginger in there, the sesame oil. It is not overly salty at all. In fact, if you even wanted it saltier, you can even feel free to sprinkle a little bit on to taste at the end. That's up to you. If you wanted a little zesty, you could add some white pepper too. White pepper's really nice in Asian soups. The wontons are so good. That's all gonna depend upon whether you make your own wontons. I have a great recipe, and like I said, in my yellow book and on my blog, which I'll link. But if you're gonna go for a frozen one, go for a frozen one you really like. Dad, why don't you try it out? Oh my gosh, he's coming in from being outside, so he has lotion all over his face. Come over.
All right.
He's got lotion all over his face. Getting the camera though. Oh my god. The lotion on your face is ridiculous. But my dad is the wonton egg drop soup connoisseur and he introduced me to it, so why don't you explain, just, you know, give it a little taste test.
Well, first of all, it looks exactly like the Chinese restaurant.
That's
so
right
so
there,
good.
that's all I need to know. All right.
Delish.
Is it?
It's got little crispy noodles in there. Excellent.
Alright, good.
Love it, love it.
And that's all I need to know when I've done good in life, I guess. Thank you, Dad, for showing me the way.
Manja.
Alright, he'll eat the entire pot. This recipe, it's ridiculous how easy it is. It's in my super shortcut Instant Pot cookbook. Egg drop wonton soup. It's the easiest thing you're gonna make. It's ridiculously easy. And yes, you don't have to pressure cook it like I said. You could do it on the stove, but I really do feel like more flavor gets infused into the broth when it's pressure cooked. That's the reason why I do it, and because I can. I also wrote 3 other books. The original orange one, the lighter blue, and like I said, the yellow Simple Comforts book, where my wonton soup is in it. And I show you exactly how to make your own wontons by folding them and everything. The books are all full of step-by-step color photos, by the way. Did you know that? I don't know if you knew that. Check me out at facebook.com/PressureLoveCooking and like that page. And at Pressure Love Cooking on all the other socials like Instagram, YouTube, and all that fun stuff. Thank you so much again for watching, my friends. And the next time you're craving either wonton or egg drop and you want it done in a quick fix, well, compromise and make a delicious wonton egg drop mix. Enjoy. Look at that egg. Look at that egg.